Part 1, The Unexpected Deal Cade. Travers was tired of the city. The noise, the crowds, the endless buildings that stretched up to the sky, it all made him feel like a tiny piece of dust in a giant machine. A cowboy by nature, he longed for the wide open spaces, the peaceful quiet of the plains, and the freedom to live life on his own terms. But those spaces were growing smaller, and the city was growing bigger. It wasn't the life Cade had imagined when he was young. It had been a week since he had received the letter, an old faded piece of paper that had somehow found its way to his apartment. It was a real estate offer, something out of a time long gone. For sale, land on Nova Terra, $50 for a piece of Earth's forgotten history. The letter promised a ranch untouched by the chaos of modern life, a place to call home. Cade knew the price was too good to be true, but the idea of having a piece of land was too tempting to ignore. He had no family, no real ties to the city. All he had was $50 saved up from odd jobs and a dream of something better. The ranch was located in a far-off corner of the planet, a place where few people dared to go. The ad spoke of a dry, isolated valley, surrounded by high cliffs where life was simple. There were no distractions, no technology, just a man and the land. Cade, dreaming of peace and quiet, wasted no time and sent the money without hesitation. He had no idea what he was getting into. A few days later, a second letter arrived. This one was official, stamped with a government seal. It confirmed that Cade was now the proud owner of a piece of Nova Terra. The letter gave him directions to his new home, but it offered little else. No details about the ranch itself. No instructions on how to get there, just a map with an X marking the spot. Cade didn't care. He was excited. This was the fresh start he had been looking for. The journey to the ranch took longer than Cade had expected. The transport ships that could take him to Nova Terra were slow, and the trip across the barren regions of the planet was a lonely one. For days, Cade sat by himself, staring out the window of the ship, thinking about what he would find when he arrived. Would the ranch be everything the letter promised? Or had he made a terrible mistake? When the ship finally touched down in the dusty, remote area that the letter had described, Cade felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He stepped off the transport and looked around. The landscape was just as the letter had described, vast, empty, and eerily quiet. The land was dry, with only a few scattered shrubs and the occasional rock outcropping breaking up the dusty earth. Cade couldn't help but feel a sense of both awe and isolation. This was the kind of place he had dreamed of. But now that he was standing in the middle of it, he wasn't sure what to do next. The ranch was a short walk from the landing site, a small building made from the same weathered wood that could be found in any old Western movie. It was surrounded by a rusted fence that had long since stopped serving its original purpose. Cade approached cautiously, his boots kicking up the dry earth with every step. As he got closer, he noticed that the building had been abandoned for quite some time. The windows were cracked, the doors hung loosely from their hinges, and the roof had begun to sag under the weight of age and neglect. Inside, the place was just as run down. The furniture was old and covered in dust, and the floors creaked with every step. But to Cade, it didn't matter. This was his land now. He had always dreamed of living off the grid, and this was his chance to do just that. He unpacked his bags and began to explore the surrounding area, eager to see what else the land had to offer. As he walked further from the house, Cade noticed a strange pattern on the ground, odd symbols carved into the earth, as if someone or something had left them there on purpose. His curiosity got the better of him, and he followed the markings for hours, heading deeper into the valley. The symbols led him to a small hill, where he found an entrance to a hidden cave. The cave was dark, and the air inside felt cool and ancient. Cade's flashlight illuminated the walls, revealing more strange markings, similar to those he had seen on the surface. These symbols were more detailed, and some even glowed faintly as though they were alive. He couldn't understand them, but there was something about the markings that made him feel uneasy, as though he were intruding on something sacred. Cade decided to explore deeper into the cave. As he moved further in, he stumbled upon a strange metallic object half buried in the ground. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before, smooth with intricate designs that seemed to shift and change as he looked at them. It was clear that this wasn't some relic of Earth's past. This was something entirely different, something alien. His mind raced as he realized what this could mean. Could it be that Nova Terra wasn't just an abandoned colony? Was there something more to this place than he had been told? Cade felt a shiver run down his spine. He had no idea what he had stumbled upon, but he knew it was important. As he reached out to touch the object, a strange noise echoed through the cave, faint at first, but growing louder. It sounded like voices, but Cade couldn't make out the words. He spun around, scanning the darkness, but saw nothing. The noise grew louder, and Cade's heart began to race. It was then that he heard the sound of footsteps approaching. Instinctively, Cade ducked behind a rock, his heart pounding in his chest. He listened carefully, the voices drawing nearer. He couldn't see who was coming, but the sound was unmistakable. It was the sound of people. But who were they? And why were they here? The footsteps stopped just outside the cave entrance. Cade waited, holding his breath. The voices seemed to stop as well, and all that remained was an eerie silence. Cade's mind raced, and just as he was about to peek out from behind the rock, he heard a splash, followed by soft laughter. Confused, Cade slowly crept toward the cave's entrance. Peering around the edge, he saw something that made his heart stop. 3 figures were standing in the riverbed, their long, dark hair flowing in the moonlight. They were young women, their bodies glowing faintly under the twin moons of Nova Terra. At first, Cade thought they might be a mirage, a trick of the light. But as he watched, he realized they were real. The 3 women were bathing in the clear water, their laughter light and carefree. They appeared to be unbothered by the fact that Cade was watching them, as though they didn't even know he was there. Their movements were graceful, almost otherworldly. Cade felt a sense of awe wash over him, mixed with the sharp sting of embarrassment. He quickly ducked behind the rocks, his face turning red. Who were these women, and why were they here? Cade had no answers, but one thing was clear. They were part of something much larger than he had ever imagined. As the night wore on, Cade couldn't shake the images of the women bathing in the moonlight from his mind. He lay awake in the old ranch house, staring up at the ceiling, wondering if he had made the right choice in coming to Nova Terra. What had he really bought with his $50, and what secrets did this strange planet hold? In the quiet of the night, one thought echoed through Cade's mind. There was something special about this place, something he had yet to understand. Cade lay in bed that night, staring at the cracked ceiling of the old ranch house. His mind raced with questions that he couldn't answer. The 3 women he had seen by the river were unlike anyone he had ever encountered. They had moved with such grace and ease as if they were part of the land itself. Cade could not shake the feeling that he had stumbled upon something far greater than he had expected when he first bought this land with his $50. The sounds of the night outside were peaceful, but inside his mind there was a storm of curiosity. Who were they? Why were they here? And what was their connection to the strange markings and the alien object he had found in the cave? As the sun rose the next morning, Cade knew he had to find answers. He couldn't just ignore the mystery of the women. He had to understand who they were, what they knew, and how they were connected to the secrets of Nova Terra. He packed his gear, just a few essentials, some food, and his flashlight, and set out once more toward the riverbed. The morning air was cool, and the valley was quiet except for the soft rustling of the wind through the dry grass. Cade had the feeling that he was walking into something far bigger than himself, but he couldn't turn back now. When he arrived at the riverbed, the women were there again. But this time, they were not bathing. They stood near the water, speaking in low, melodic voices. Cade watched from a distance, careful not to disturb them. He wasn't sure what to do, but his curiosity got the better of him. He stepped forward, his boots crunching the dry ground beneath him. The women turned at the sound, their eyes locking onto Cade with a calm, almost knowing expression. "Who are you?" Cade asked, his voice shaky but firm. The tallest of the 3 women stepped forward. Her hair was dark and her skin was a rich, warm tone, as if the sun itself had kissed her. Her eyes were bright, almost glowing in the morning light. She smiled gently, but there was a deep wisdom in her gaze. "We are the guardians of this land," she said softly. "And you are not the first to come here." Cade blinked in surprise. "Guardians? What do you mean? What is this place?" The woman nodded toward the river. "This land has been watched over for many generations. We protect the secrets it holds, the secrets of those who came before. Cade felt a strange sense of awe as he listened. "You mean there's more to this land than I thought?" The woman's smile grew wider. "Much more, but it is not for all to know. The land chooses who it will share its secrets with. And you. You have been chosen." Cade's heart raced. Chosen? What did that mean? How could this strange land choose someone? But before he could ask, the woman motioned for him to follow them. "I will show you," she said. "But first you must understand the history of Nova Terra." They led Cade to a small, hidden cave deep in the valley. It was unlike the first cave he had found. The entrance was camouflaged, hidden by vines and rock. As they entered, Cade was struck by the sudden change in temperature. It was cooler inside, and the air seemed to hum with an energy that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. The walls of the cave were lined with intricate carvings, symbols that glowed faintly in the dark. Some of the markings Cade recognized from the surface of the land, but others were completely foreign to him. The woman spoke again, her voice echoing slightly in the cool air. "These markings tell the story of our ancestors, those who came from Earth long ago. They arrived on this planet when the old world was dying. They were the last of humanity sent to find a new home, a place where Earth's legacy could survive. But they did not find just a new world. They found something more." Cade listened closely, trying to take it all in. The idea that Earth's last survivors had come here was mind-boggling. But there was more. "The people who came to Nova Terra were not the only ones here," the woman continued. "Before them, this land was home to an ancient civilization, one that had mastered powers beyond anything humans understood. When the first humans arrived, they discovered that the land was alive and it responded to them. It chose those who were worthy to inherit its secrets." She paused, turning toward the farthest wall of the cave. There, etched into the rock, was an image of a large metallic object, just like the one Cade had found. It was unmistakable, and seeing it again sent a chill through his body. "This object," she said, pointing to it, "is part of a powerful technology left behind by the ancient civilization. It is not just a tool, it is a key to unlock the full potential of Nova Terra, but it must be used wisely, for its power is great, and those who misuse it will destroy everything." Cade felt a wave of unease wash over him. The object in the cave, the one he had found, was the key to something much bigger than he had imagined. It wasn't just a relic. It was the key to unlocking a hidden power. But how could he be sure that he was ready for it? How could he trust himself to use it without causing harm? The woman seemed to read his thoughts. "The land will guide you," she said softly. "But you must be patient. Trust the land and it will show you the way." After their brief journey through the cave, the women led Cade back to the riverbank. The sun was higher now, casting long shadows over the valley. Cade was filled with more questions than answers, but one thing was clear. Nova Terra was not just a planet to explore. It was a place of ancient power, a land that had been waiting for someone like him. "Why me?" Cade asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Why was I chosen?" The woman smiled, a knowing look in her eyes. "Because you seek more than just a place to live. You seek a purpose. And this land needs someone who can protect its secrets." Cade nodded slowly, the weight of her words settling on his shoulders. He had come to Nova Terra seeking peace and solitude, but he had found so much more. Now, it seemed, his role was much bigger than he had ever imagined. He wasn't just a cowboy. He was part of something ancient, something far beyond the world he had known. Over the next few days, Cade worked alongside the women, learning more about the land and its hidden secrets. The Apache girls, as he came to call them, taught him the old ways, how to live off the land, how to survive in harmony with nature. They also taught him about the alien technology buried deep beneath the surface, the power it held, and the dangers it could bring if mishandled. As he learned, Cade realized that his life had changed forever. He was no longer just a lonely cowboy. He was a protector, a guardian of Nova Terra's ancient power, and though he still had much to learn, Cade knew one thing for sure. He had found his purpose. But danger was not far away. Word of the strange technology beneath the valley had begun to spread. Soon, Cade and the Apache girls would face threats they never imagined. Powerful forces from across the galaxy were coming, and they would stop at nothing to claim the land's secrets for themselves.